Hello, and thank you for wanting to learn more about how to secure your company's data. My name is Dan Fusco. I'm a business owner as well, and I think that it's really important that we take some time to learn about cybersecurity and how to protect your data and hopefully help your employees work more efficiently. We're going to go over many different topics today, but you will leave with 7 steps to hopefully help you run a more efficient business. Now, a little bit about who we are. This is Cloud Desk 365. We're what you would call a cloud service provider, or CSP. We have many programs that we are helping companies with, such as Office 365, email filtering and protection. We have hosted servers and desktops that we spin up for people, and then we help, if they need it, migrate their data from their current environment to Office 365 or those servers. And then finally, we do cybersecurity audits, and I personally do cybersecurity seminars to small, medium, and large businesses, Fortune 500 companies. So what you're going to learn today is a culmination of sort of the golden nuggets of those seminars. More specifically, we're going to go through 7 points, which will be the importance of email filtering. Really, that's where all this security is going to start with your business. Then we're going to talk about firewalls and why they're important. We'll discuss the pros and cons of antivirus. And do you really need a help desk? What about documenting your IT department? And maybe monitoring your computers. Is that really necessary? And if so, why? Then we're going to talk about backing up your data. Probably the most crucial step in all of these is backing up your data, because no matter what, if you get hit by a virus or your servers go down or whatever, and you have a good backup system, you're going to be all right. So that's really the most important step out of all these. We're going to talk about learning about IT and why that's fun, and then talk about how you're going to be able to get some free consultations right in your area, which is always good to have some information coming to you. So a little bit about why we need to talk about this, and it's really about cybercrime. The days of criminal activity have changed. Before, they used to have a long train, and they'd have a guy with a little gun, and he'd go up there with a couple of his buddies on some horses, and they'd stick up a train, and that was like really big time stuff. Get a lot of money from that stick up. Today, you can get a handful of people, 5 or 10 people, if they know what they're doing. And I'm sure you've heard of it. They can take down companies like J.P. Morgan, or they can take down Target, or Equifax had an issue this year. So cybercrime has changed. They're able to hit large companies, extract huge amounts of money from them, and that's how they're surviving. So these are not kids working in their garage. They are businesses. They are in Pakistan, they're in Russia, they're in Ukraine, they're in China, Philippines. A lot of other countries have these cybercrimes harvesting there because there's no real laws preventing them from doing it. So, cybercrime is the crime business for today. If you ever want to change careers, you could probably make a pretty decent living at cybercrime. I don't suggest it, but you could do it. Anyway, cybercrime is what we're talking about, and why is it such an issue? It's because there are 82,000 new malware threats being released every day. 82,000, that's a lot. These are coming through emails, they're coming through websites. In some cases, they're DOS attacks. We're going to talk about all of that today. But that's a lot to defend against, 82,000 new malware threats. And so hopefully what we have put together are 7 crucial steps that you can take to prevent them from attacking your system. Now, without a doubt, the most dangerous attack you can possibly get in your company is ransomware. When ransomware hits you, it's going to shut everything down immediately. So that's why we're concentrating on this. What I'm going to suggest is going to protect you from a lot of things, most everything. But for sure, you want to be aware of ransomware. This is really what we get a lot of calls on, and which is most expensive, and really it costs a lot of companies money through downtime. So a writer once asked, what kind of writing pays the most? And her answer was simple. Well, it's ransom notes. So this is what's happening in cybercrime today. Sensitive data in the wrong hands is used to extort money. It's that simple. They're able to demand anywhere from $500, $800 to $2,500, $17,000, whatever they want. However they deem that information important is what they're going to actually ask for the money for. So this is a big issue, and this is what I hope to protect you against. You also want to be a little wary of rogue apps. There's a lot of free applications out there, and I'm not saying don't use them, but, like Dropbox, the free version, let's think about that for a minute. Do you really want to be putting your information on a free application? Or Google Docs? Hey, there's nothing wrong with Google Docs. Well, there's a couple things wrong with it that I don't like, but, generally it stores data. Is it secure, though? That's what you want to ask. Is this a secure application? And I would have to think that maybe it's not as secure as you'd think. 4 years ago, there were 7 million Dropbox passwords that have been compromised. And what happens is these cyber criminals take these passwords. They get passwords to emails, they get passwords to Dropbox, they get passwords to servers, and then they put that information on the dark web and they sell it. And that's primarily how they're able to make money. If you haven't heard of the dark web, it's sort of an underground group of people who have their own sort of internet going on. It's very difficult to get into, but that's where all this information is being sold. So be careful. Just a good little story on this. If you go to your accountant and he or she asks you for your social security number and all your financial information, and you give it to them, and then you ask them where they're storing it, and they say, yep, it's safe and sound on Dropbox. How's that going to make you feel? Probably not so good. So think of it the other way. If you are using these programs and your clients call you and they say, where's my information being stored? And you're saying on Dropbox, how's that going to make them feel? And so it's just something to think about. You do want to make sure that you're using quality products with your company. So when I give my cybersecurity seminars, I often ask, who's been hit by an attack? And about 25 to 30% of the people in the audience will generally raise their hands if they're being honest. And that's what you can expect. About 25% of the businesses this year are going to get hit in one form or another by a cybersecurity attack. It's just the numbers. What I hope to prevent is that you get hit and you're unprepared for that attack. So more times than not, I jump up and down, I plead, I say, back up your data, monitor your computers, do this, do that, do the other thing. And the company is like, no, way too expensive, don't want to do that. And then 6 months later, they give me a call and they say, Dan, tail behind their legs, I've been hit. I have a crypto locker on my computer and I can't get in. So that's a huge issue, and that's something that if you take the steps now, not only are you going to protect your company, but you might actually come up with some systems that will help you run a more efficient IT department, which will give you a ton more flexibility with your company. So let's get into the brass tacks of what it costs if you get hit by a ransomware program. And I'm going into this because I think it's important to realize what these companies, when they say, hey, we've been hit, and it costs us like $50 million. This is why. I'm going to get into the reasons why. First of all, you have ransomware, the ransomware note. Now, these days, the notes are running between $2,500 and $17,000. There was a hospital that was hit about 18 months ago. They paid close to $20,000 for the key to get the encryption key back. Unfortunately, they didn't even get all their data. They got about half of it back. So that was a huge issue. That's just the ransomware. Then you're going to have to go into a company. Let's just base it off of a company of 10 people, so we have a nice round number. You're going to have to rebuild or at least clean up those servers. But I would say rebuild them because you can really never be for sure that, or for sure know that you're going to get all the viruses off if you just run an antivirus. That probably won't do it. So we end up having to rebuild the computers and the desktops. Usually there's something on these computers that's going to run you about $3,500 easy. So that's minimum. That's just if they have one server. Then you're going to have the downtime. Let's say it takes 3 to 5 days to get the encryption key back. Then you have to rebuild your entire IT department. If you have a business and you've had a computer problem, you know how long it takes to rebuild a computer, 4 or 5 hours. So I think conservative, it's going to be 3 to 5 days of downtime. You pay your average employee $45 an hour. That's 3 to 5 days of downtime with your company where they can't work. Not only are you losing money there, but you're not able to bill your clients. You're not making any money. You're not bringing any money in. So this actually, ransomware in some cases can put a company out of business if they're not prepared financially. So it is a very, very serious issue. And by the way, we're just talking about ransomware, but I want to let you know that what I'm talking about today is called business continuity. And so whether it's a virus or whether a tornado rips through your office, or there's a huge snowstorm, whatever disaster happens, what we're talking about today will help you get up and running. Now, all of the costs are good. Those are hard costs. What about the soft costs? What if you have been compromised? You can't get up and running, and then the client finds out, and they find out their data was compromised. How much is one client worth, right? So that can be a huge issue as well. You're talking about your reputation. You're talking about they call up, they want their taxes, or they want their medical records, whatever it is, and you're gonna look at them and say, I don't have it. They're going to ask why, and you're going to say, well, because it's been hit by ransomware and compromised. It's now in the dark web. Legally, in New York, that's where I'm from, you have to tell your clients that you've been compromised. So, that's why Equifax came out with that huge report saying, sorry guys, roughly 30 million people were compromised. They had to do that legally. So this is some serious stuff you want to think about. You want to mitigate this kind of thing happening to you. Total cost of an attack for a 10-person company will be between $18,000 and $28,000 easily. I just had repaired a company, 3 people, cost $14,000. So I think all the numbers that I'm giving are very conservative, but they are realistic. So the bottom line is you need to get serious about protecting your company against cybercrime. I do too. Everybody does. And this is a daily thing. This isn't something where you're one and done and you're all set. You want to set it up and then you want to maintain it. So the big question you're probably asking me right now is, so how do you protect yourself? Right? Okay, so there are a lot of different ways how you can protect yourself and your company. We're going to go through those steps right now. The very first is your email. You want to have a very powerful email filtering program on your with your company. So like the way how emails typically work is they go to like GoDaddy and then they go to your inbox. Well, if that's the way you're set up, you're gonna want to. You might get an email that looks something like this. If you can't see it, it has readyfalls.com. It's from somebody that you might know. This one says Marina Ophelia. Oh yeah, I know Marina. It seems like there's a little attachment. You want to give me an invoice. I know her very well. You unsuspectingly click on that attachment, and voila, a little program gets executed on your computer. Your desktop screen flashes. This is exactly the way it goes, folks. It flashes on and off, and then a little program pops up. Very next thing is saying, well, all your files have been encrypted. And this is where the bad news starts. And they have their guarantee that if you pay the money, then you're going to get all your files back. They have an email address that you can email. They'll get back to you within 24 hours. So imagine that. You get hit. You're going to have to wait 24 hours for them to reply. That's called downtime. They say if you try to do anything with these files, you will lose your data forever. This is a huge issue, and believe me, it feels worse. It feels like you've been robbed, because you have been robbed. And then the very next thing is they'll come up with an estimate once they take a look at your data of how much the ransomware is going to cost. So the flow of how you protect yourself is generally the emails are going to go to a domain or a domain provider like GoDaddy. So the emails get sent there. Usually they'll go from GoDaddy straight to your Exchange server. What we're doing is we're putting a filter in between GoDaddy and your email exchange. If this gets too technical, let me know. But that filter is going to filter out all the viruses. It's going to filter out a lot of spam. So not only is it going to help filter out like bad stuff, but you're also going to notice that your inbox gets cleaned up quite a bit as well. And then it'll get to the Exchange server. So the benefits of the email filter are it filters out the viruses before they get to your inbox. You can also add neat things like safe send, which prevents these emails from being sent. Let's say you get a virus on your computer. You ever get those emails that are from friends and they say, hey, buy this from China? And you're like, hey, you would never send anything like that. Well, their email account had actually been compromised where all the contacts in their email address are being forwarded this email. So safe send prevents that email from being sent to all your clients, potentially. And then finally, you can, on very good filtering systems, encrypt your emails. I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write this down. We use a program called Mail Protector. That's Mail Protector, and that's an excellent program. Now, it's a bit expensive. It's going to run a couple $100 for, just to set it up. So if you're a smaller company, like less than 30 people, then you're going to want to talk to a company like mine, and the licenses are a lot less expensive because we buy them in bulk. But Mail Protector is a program that is, I've checked this stuff out, it's by far the best program in the industry for protecting emails. Now, when you're protecting your emails, good news, you're going to get reports. We send our reports out at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's going to tell you what was spam, how many viruses they blocked, and how many good emails came through. And you'll notice that actually there's a little note that says spam, and that's the emails that have been blocked by the spam filter. And then you have the opportunity, if you think that it's a good email, you can release that email, it'll go to your inbox. So fun and exciting stuff with the email filtering. I think that is where we're going to start with protecting your company. Very, very important. The next is a firewall. Now, when I do my seminars, a lot of people, I say, how many people have a firewall? Yeah, everybody raises their hands. Some people think that their modem is their firewall. Some people think their router is their firewall. A firewall is a firewall. It is a Cisco Meraki firewall, or it is a SonicWall firewall. Okay, so you need to have your modem connected to your firewall, connected to your network. That's the way how you're going to set that up. And so the firewalls are very interesting. Even if people have firewalls, they say, yep, I got a firewall, it's 8 years old. It's a Sonic TZ210 or whatever, or 200. Well, the thing is that firewall is out of date and it probably isn't protecting you in the least bit. Probably it's even slowing your network down. So you want to get an up-to-date firewall, replace them every 3 or 4 years. You're going to get software licensing for these things. If you don't want to replace the firewall, at least keep the software up to date, because the software is really what protects you from DOS attacks and protects your employees from going to vicious bad websites. So firewalls, very, very important. And so some brand names on that are Cisco Meraki, SonicWall, Fortinet is also very good. You're going to want to get a license, which generally runs about $150 a year. And not only going to prevent people from going to bad websites, but they're going to prevent people from hacking into your system. It's called a brute force attack. Brute force attacks are trial and error methods used by online criminals to guess users' personal information, such as passwords or PINs. Basically, they're going to infiltrate your IP address, hit it tons of times with these bots, and they're going to try to get in and log into your server through your username, which most probably is going to be admin or administrator. I'd be shocked, bewildered, and surprised if it wasn't. 50% of the people out today, their username is administrator. Then they have their passwords, which generally aren't that difficult, So what they're going to do is they're going to have these bots go in and just try password after password until they finally get in. They don't care if it takes 6 months. That bot's running on its own. It's just trying to get into your system. So the firewall is going to definitely help protect you against the brute force attacks. So just to sum up, the firewall is going to secure your IP address of your network. It's going to help protect against DOS attacks. It's going to monitor what sites your employees go to. You're also going to be able to do other things with the firewall, like create a VPN connection. So if you decide to go into a cloud-based environment, like a hosted virtual desktop, then you're going to be able to set up a VPN connection between that hosted desktop and your firewall. And that'll make things like printing much easier, or scanning. So really important to have a good firewall. Oh, another thing on firewalls, if you are going cloud-based, with your IT department, you can set up another internet service provider and have a failover for your internet, which is always very, very helpful. So next we're going to talk about antivirus. And the antivirus is going to protect you from malicious programs. It's going to be one more filter against infected emails. So we do have the Mail Protector. That thing is so solid, no emails are going to get through. But if an email does get through, you're going to have an antivirus, which, if it's good enough, will also scan those emails for malicious content. And it'll give you warnings from potential threats. Now, the databases are updated for new viruses. But you remember how there's some cons to the antivirus. And I just want you to be aware of them. It's nothing bad, nothing really you can do about it. But let's say you have 82,000 new pieces of malicious programs hitting the market today, hitting the internet today. Well, let's say Norton, you have Norton antivirus, and let's say you're one of the first 100 people to get hit by that virus. Well, Norton didn't have enough time to actually realize that that virus is out and update the database. So unfortunately, some of these viruses can and will get through an antivirus program. A lot of times people say, hey, I got hit, but I have an antivirus running. Well, that's true, but maybe the database is not up to date. And that could be because they just aren't aware of that virus, or the database is not syncing up well. So although antiviruses are very good, you do want to be aware that they're not the end-all be-all. And they really need to work in conjunction with the firewall and with the email filtering. So this is not a hey, pick one of these solutions and protect your company. This is do all of this and protect your company, okay? So good antivirus programs are going to be Norton Antivirus, Kaspersky, Sophos, which is particularly good with ransomware. You have .doc documents, and basically what ransomware will do is change the .doc to a .gamma, which means the .doc X or S or whatever lets the document program know that you're going to open up a Word document. So if you don't have that .doc at the end of the document, it's not going to know to open Word so you can see the program. If it has .gamma, it won't open. It's just going to say you're trying to open a program that we don't know how to open with a gamma sort of extension. So Sophos is very, very smart. That program realizes that your extensions are being changed, and it stops that service from happening. So that's a really good thing to have. And you do want to check into Malwarebytes, another good antivirus program. Now you want to be a little careful because these antivirus programs do not necessarily play together well. And so, for instance, Kaspersky will not work with Norton Antivirus. You don't want to have those two antiviruses working at the same time. So like Sophos, you want to look into it. Hey, is Sophos compatible with Kaspersky? Just read a little bit about it. Malwarebytes is compatible with most all antiviruses because it's really just protecting you against malware. So you do want to check in to see if these antiviral programs are compatible with each other. Okay, moving on, what we're going to do is go on to documentation and monitoring. Now it's really important. We use a program called IT Glue. Of course, people have Excel sheets and all that they can use for documentation, but we use IT Glue, and the reason why is because if you do get hit with something or your systems go down, this is the way how you're going to be able to replicate the systems very, very quickly. You're going to have, like you can see this checklist here, you have the checklist right here, configurations, you have the contacts within the company, you have documentation, so you can take all your IP addresses and all the SOPs for your company, put into the documents of how the IT departments run, and you'll have that all at your fingertip. You have your domain tracker, so if your emails go down, you'll understand exactly how those are put together. You have the locations of your offices, which is excellent for being able to create an inventory for your IT department. You'll know who has what computer where, and you can document that. You have passwords, encrypted passwords, which are saved on this program. So this is an awesome program. It's called IT Glue. Again, very expensive if it's just like one business. So you do want to talk to a company like us or somebody else, because often we have group rates that you can implement on this or take advantage of. You can also have your services like Active Directory saved on here. You have your backups, how they're configured, emails, internet, everything, LAN. Everything's put into here, how your printers are put together. So there's an awful lot that goes into your IT department. And the better you document that, the faster you're going to be able to put it together if there's an issue. Excuse me. That goes hand in hand with monitoring. And if you heard that alarm in the background, sorry, that was an ambulance. I do live in New York City. Do apologize for that. In any event, monitoring your computers is really important as well. You can do it on your own. We use a company called SolarWinds, which is very, very good. And it's just difficult to sort of maintain those. Now, why do you want to monitor your computers? First of all, When you monitor your computers, you're going to see if there's an issue with your C drive, with your RAM, with your motherboard. Any of these things that happen, they're automatically going to give you a warning. Say, oh, desktop number 8 is having an issue with its RAM. You might want to change the RAM. You'll get that email. You can install patches automatically every Sunday. You can say, hey, I want all these patches installed and the updates. And that's very useful to have as well. They'll notify you of any issues. You can also remotely log into these computers. So if you're technically savvy and someone's having an issue with a printer drive or something, you don't need to go over there to their desk and fix it. You can actually just remotely log into it. Very, very helpful having that. I guess one thing that I didn't put into this, which would help, but it's not really a 7-step, is a ticketing system. Because if you're running a larger business, get a ticketing system. It's just going to make your life a lot easier, and it'll prevent people from having to say, hey, did you forget about me? Because the ticketing system pops up every day and tells you exactly what issues you have to fix. And what you can do is you can sync the monitoring up with the ticketing system. Very valuable. Okay, so just to recap on documentation, you have your encrypted password documentation. Document IT configurations for firewall switches and routers and desktops, everything. SOPs, very good. Create knowledge base for your programs and your SOPs. And you'll be able to replicate your IT department in case of an attack. So this runs hand in hand with everything that we're doing. Now, I believe this is step number 5. We've gone through a lot. I've added a couple of sub-steps in there, but, backing up your data. This is... Listen carefully. Back up your data. 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 The most important step out of all these is backing up your data. All right. Now, the reason is because you can do all this stuff and something could happen. It's just you want all these steps. You want to protect yourself in the case that something happens and the sky is falling and none of these systems work for some reason. At least you have the data backed up. Now, again, I go to seminars, I say, raise your hand, who backs up your data? And inevitably, people raise their hand and say, I definitely back up their data, or my data, or whatever. And you say, how do you do it? And they whip out a little thumb drive and they say, here it is, it's all backed up on my thumb drive. And so conveniently, they throw that thumb drive in their car, drive home, throw it in the glove box, and that's their data backup. Well, I think that we should think about that a little bit. Again, you'd be shocked, surprised, bewildered that people actually don't back up their data and they forget, and there's like 6 months of data that they haven't backed up. So you really need to automate this. Get a good program. You can use programs like Mozy and Carbonite. We don't do that. Ironically, the program SolarWinds has a fantastic backup with it. That's a monitoring system, so what's neat is you can put those together. But we do on-site and off-site backup. So we do back these up to cloud servers, whether it's Amazon or our hosted servers. We'll back that stuff up, and you should too. The on-site backups are good because they're going to be a lot faster to restore, but the off-site backups are very good because if something happens to the on-site backup, you get hit by a lightning bolt, you're going to have your backups off-site. Plus, if you have a real disaster, you can spin those servers up with a good backup program and actually run your company off of the backup, the offsite backups. So a couple things with backups are test them. You want to go through every couple weeks and just say, hey, can I actually recover my data? Not a bad thing to do. Also, with good backup programs, you're going to get reporting. So this report says data backup, and then it says failed. Uh-oh. All right, it's like the size of 32 gigs, and 4 days and 3 hours ago, it failed. So you want to find out why it failed 4 days ago. Was there a service that hung the backup program? And then what you want to do is maybe fix that so that way you can get that backup up and running again, and definitely test it. Again, I've gone into situations where people swear up and down that they have the backups running, and then I go in to try to recover some data, and it's gone. So backups are very important. Here's a report saying, hey, all is good. We successfully backed up the data, and we're good to go. Completed. So I want to go over one idea here for you, which is actually going to take everything, or most everything that I talked about, except for the email filtering, and it's going to put it under one click. Yeah, because I went over a lot. It's a lot of information. You're like, whoa, this is a ton to put together, and I get it. But the thing is that this one solution our happiest clients use it, and I got to be honest, we have had the most success with this, and that is our hosted desktops and our cloud servers. And so you want to think about these. Why? Well, first of all of your data is always stored in one location, no matter what office you're in. So if you have multiple office locations, you might notice there is a difference in the way some of the desktops are performing, or the way how they're able to access data, especially if you have SQL-based programs. So hosted desktops give a very good performance level across your entire company, no matter if they're in California or New York. It's a one-click solution. You log in, all that data is encrypted, and the beautiful thing is all this stuff is backed up at night. So you don't need to worry about it. You can have snapshots of these backups. And the other thing is you have servers that you never need to buy again because they're hosted servers. They're physical servers. They're in huge server farms, and they have a team of professional engineers that are monitoring and maintaining these servers, and they're constantly doing upgrades. So it's like getting an unbelievable Ferrari, for a decent price. You really do get a high performing cloud product with the hosted desktops. You do want to be very, very careful though. There are very bad hosting companies out there. I know from experience. So be sure you vet whoever you're going to host your data with. Try to get maybe a trial or something like that. Hey, do you mind if I try it out for a month? And or maybe you can get a reduced fee or something like that, or a month off, and get a little trial on the desktops and see how they perform. You want to vet the companies out, make sure that they have clients on them, and that they're happy. And you should get very, very good reviews from these companies if you're going to be hosting it with it. So definitely do your research on this. I'm not saying go out and just spin up a desktop on Amazon. It probably won't work for you, but if you do, good luck. But you want to look into the companies that you're going to be using the cloud services for. The reason why I say that about Amazon is because Amazon is very good, but you need to be an Amazon engineer to make this system happen. With Amazon, how are you going to get a connection broker? That's one of the pieces of server, one of the servers you'll need to get this running. How are you going to get Active Directory set up? How are you going to network those computers so they're all talking to those two servers? And then you're going to need a server to really protect your system, a firewall server. So those three servers are part of a good environment, and they don't naturally come with Amazon Web Services. You have to build those out. So hosted desktops are very good. I encourage you to look into those. It's a one-click solution for really doing your backups, getting encryption going, monitoring your computers. Everything is built into the hosted desktops. Networking, working remotely, scalability, the list goes on and on about how awesome the hosted desktops are. Finally, what you want to do is you want to, step number 7, consultations. Step number 6 and 7. Consultations and go to seminars. Meetup.com has some excellent groups where all they talk about is cybersecurity, cloud computing. You don't need to go to these every day, but go to one every 3 months. Oftentimes, if you look at them, they'll have a free beer or something like that. So it'll definitely be worth it. But you want to go to these seminars. You want to kind of learn, always be learning about IT, because after all, these IT solutions really do help businesses thrive. They help you scale, they help you work more efficiently, and it's a good idea just to learn about them. And my best clients are people who are informed. There's no doubt when I go to an informed client and they see what we're doing, they get it, they understand. But it's the uninformed clients who are really difficult to work with, who don't understand that you need email filtering, who don't understand that you need antivirus. So being an informed business owner or office manager or whoever is really key to running an efficient company. So the seminars happen on meetup.com. You can go to other things like Microsoft is constantly hosting them. You might want to call a local IT support company and see if they're hosting a seminar or something like that. Or Lunch and Learn. Sometimes you can get a free meal out of these if you call them and say, hey, I want to be on your list. I want to go to a Lunch and learn about data backup. Great. Well, some of these companies do this. The other thing about that is you can Google IT support in your area, and within 5 or 10 miles of your business, there's going to be an IT company that is going to come over to your office absolutely free And if they don't do it for free, don't do it. But they'll come over for free and they'll talk IT with you for an hour. They'll give you a consultation. Will there be a little bit of a sales thing going on? Absolutely. But it's not huge. It's not like you're going to buy a car or anything like that. No offense to car dealerships, they're great, but you're not going to get sold like that. It's just going to be like, okay, we want to go and learn about IT. What do you got to offer? And they're going to go and maybe analyze your system a little bit and then give you some suggestions of how they could help. And it really should be about that light when you call these people. So we actually give consultations, and they are free. We give half-hour phone consults. So on that note, below this video, you'll see book my consult, and click on that, and feel free to set an appointment for one of us to give you a call. I'll talk to you, or we can have Ariel or someone speak with you about cloud computing or how your systems are running, and maybe even just do an analysis. You might not even want to hear anything about what we do. We'll sit down, listen to your story, and find out where you're at and see if there's anything we can do to help you. It is a free consultation with us. It's a half hour. You can also email dan@clouddesk365.com with any questions you may have. If you have any advice on this seminar that I gave, feel free to give me a shoot, a holler. I don't mind. I mean, I got thick skin, so if you have anything constructive to say about this, let me know. But certainly, if you want us to look at your IT department, how it's put together, if you have an issue that you want to talk about, feel free to email us. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to look at this. I hope you get a lot out of this. Also, I think you were able to download a report, which is very, very helpful. That's going to give you some additional steps on how you can make your IT department more secure. And I certainly hope this helped out a lot. Thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future. Bye-bye.